Good morning, everyone. My name is Melanie and welcome back to A Slice of Heaven Homestead. Today we are going to start taping and mudding the joints in these walls. So to start off with, we are removing all of these little strips. Now, if it has been painted, you're going to need to use your razor blade to kind of score along that. Otherwise, it's going to be pulling out big chunks of paint off of the drywall. Now after that, to prepare the walls, we are going to be finding all of these little nails that are poking out and hammering them back in. Some of the footage that I had in the other room didn't turn out so well. So I'm just going to show you on this wall how to complete this first step. Now you want to make sure to have a lot of joint compound. You'll be scraping most of it off later, but you want to be able to fill all those cracks and get a good surface for that joint tape to stick to. You want to have a good swath of probably about 4 inches or so. All right, next comes the joint tape. For this project, I'm using the paper tape. It's actually kind of nice. It's got kind of a folded portion right down the middle for when I'm doing corners, but we won't need to fold that for this purpose. Line it up at the top. So for this next part, you're going to be scraping most of that joint compound off of there. You want to make sure to get it smooth and to try and smooth out any bubbles that are underneath. Now I did find that with the pre-mixed joint compound, it was way too thick. I had to add water to it. Otherwise I had a hard time adhering to the joint tape. And make sure as you're smoothing out the tape, but also the joint compound off to the sides. You want it to be a nice smooth transition. And with that first coat done, we're going to let it set for 24 hours. Now this is the wall that we started yesterday. It's been drying for 24 hours and now it's time for our second coat. So for the second coat, I am going to use an 8-inch knife. The name of the game now is to just try and blend things and try and make it as smooth as possible. And you want to make sure to scrape it nice and clean around the edges. Now in order to do that, you might need to kind of bevel the knife just a little bit. So have it touching the outer edge of the wall, and then move it into the center. That way it doesn't scrape too much right here, but it definitely scrapes clean all the stuff that you want to end up blending into the rest of the wall. So today, for this bit of wall, it needs a third coat. It's had its first coat, second coat, and it's been drying for a couple of days now. It really only needs to dry for about 1 day in between coats. So third coat, what you're gonna need is at least a 10-inch trowel. This one is 12 inches. And you're gonna need a whole block of this joint compound mixture. You're going to put it on liberally. You're going to end up scraping most of the stuff off. But you want a swath that's about 6 to 8 inches, maybe even a little bit more. Okay, so just like with the first 2 coats, you're going to try and angle your blade so that it scrapes the outside a little bit more than the inside. And then again, you're going to angle it the other way. Now, if you have a patch that just won't flatten out because there's not enough compound right there, just go ahead and grab a little bit more compound, slap it on, and then smooth it out. So once you do your 2 sides, you're going to go just directly down the middle, and it's just going to be a feather-light kind of touch. You don't want to scrape too harshly. So the goal for this third coat is to make it as flat and as smooth as you possibly can so that there's less sanding that you have to do when this is all dry. Now at the end of your third coat, you're going to want that thickness to be probably in between 1/16 to 1/8 of an inch thick. But if you get it wide enough, you're not going to feel the difference. Now, the final step in the mudding and taping of the wall joints is to sand this down so that you can't feel any transition. Now, on your last and third coat, the goal was to get it as flat as you could around the edges. And sometimes, sometimes it works out and sometimes it's not so great. It just means that you'll have to do a little bit more sanding on those ones that you can feel the transition. Now this step is a little messy, so you are going to want iPro and you're going to want a dust mask. Now there are 2 ways that you can sand down those joints. One is the traditional way, which is this very long sander, doing it by hand, or you can also sand it with an electric sander. Now, the hand sander, it takes a little bit longer, I think. Well, it takes a lot longer, but you don't get as much dust in the air. as you do with the electric sander. But I'm gonna go ahead and do this one because I'm pressed for time. That last part is certainly dusty work, but hey, we've got a beautifully finished joint here which will blend in perfectly with the rest of the wall. Guys, thank you for joining me today. Spread a little kindness and encourage one another. If you like this video, please hit that like button and subscribe, and until next time, we hope you find your slice of heaven too.